Hey everyone, welcome to week 5 where we're taking a little bit of a break from algebra, and today it's our goal to determine the mean, median and mode from a data set. So today's lesson should feel like a review from what you have done in year 7 and year 8. Okay, so to start with a warm-up, I want you to factorize these two expressions here. All right, let's get to it. First of all, we want to consider our 3 measures of centre. Now, our 3 measures of centre are ways to discuss the middle of a data set. The first one is our mean, sometimes called the average of a data set. And we denote that, and you might have seen this last year or maybe not, with an X and a little flat bar over the top. That means the mean. That's equal to the sum of all values, which we write like this, over the number of total values. So you might have last year written it as sum of values over number of values, which is absolutely fine, and you're still welcome to write this. But mathematically, we write that as a capital sigma. That's the Greek letter sigma. So we draw it like this with a little tail. Sum of all values x over the number of values n. Our second measure of centre is the median. You will have known that as the middle number. And the really cool thing about the median is that it's really useful to tell us where the middle of the data set is when there are outliers. And remember, outliers are data points that are way above or way below the rest of the values. A formula to help calculate the median, if you don't like counting in from the left and the right, is to find the n plus 1 over 2th number. So what that means is if you know how many numbers you have, say for example you have 9 numbers in your data set, let's do an example over here, 9 plus 1 over 2 is 5. You would be looking for the 5th number in your data set when it's written in ascending order, and that will give you the middle number. Today in some examples I'm going to work through using this method and also just the counting in method for the median. The final measure of centre is the mode, and that's simply the most common value. What you might not have been familiar with is that if there are 2 modes, we just call this data set bimodal, where bi means 2. If, however, all values are appearing the same number of times, okay, so say we have just 1 of each value or 2 of each value or so on, that means there is no mode or no most common number. So, something else to consider when we're working with data. Whenever we begin to analyse a set of data, we always need to arrange it in ascending order. If we don't arrange it in ascending order, it becomes very difficult to figure out if we have multiples of the same number, and it's very, very difficult to figure out the median. Because when you're finding the median, whether you're doing it in this method with an equation or you're counting in from the left and the right, you need your numbers to always be in ascending order. So let's do some examples. Here we've just got 2 data sets, A and B. And it's our job to calculate the mean, median and mode for these data sets below. So if you would like to, feel free to pause this now and actually just do these yourself. Otherwise, I'm about to work through them now. So step 1 is to write these in ascending order. So I've got 1, and I like to cross them out as I go. That way I'm not missing any of the numbers, and I find it easier to see. Oops, see, I can already tell I missed the 4. And this way it's easier to see if you miss anything. So I missed the 4 and then I have the 5. Then I've got 2 6s, then a 9, then the 10. So this is my new data set written in ascending order. To find the mean of that data set, it's the sum of all those numbers over the total number of values. So that's 1 plus 2 plus 2. Adding all these numbers together. And no, you're not going to have to end up showing all of this working in your exam, but I am going to show it right now for you. And we need to count how many numbers we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In your exam, if you added all of that on the top row and you knew the answer was 45, okay, you're welcome to actually skip this step here and go straight from here to here, okay? So that means our mean is 5. When it comes to our median though, all right, so I'm actually going to count in for this median. I'm going to consider counting in from the left and the right to find the middle number. So I've counted in 1 from each side, and if I was with you on the board, I would actually show you that I'm actually covering up those numbers with my hands. So I'm equally working towards the center. There we go. We can see that our middle number of the data set is also 5. Finally, to calculate the mode, well, it's not really a lot of a calculation here. We're just looking for the number that appears the most. And in this case, we can see that 2 appears twice and 6 appears twice. So our mode is actually 2 and 6, which means that we have a bimodal data set. Let's have a go at question B. So the first thing I want to do again is I want to arrange these in ascending order. So I've got 9, 10, 13, 15, 17, and 26. I want to find my mean, so I'm going to make sure we write the equation, guys. You cannot skip this step, but I'm going to jump straight to what they all add up to. And they all add up to 90. And altogether, I have 6 of them, which means my mean is 15, or my average is 15 for this data set. The median, now the median in this case, if we count in from the outside, boom, boom, we notice here that we have 2 numbers in the middle. When we have 2 numbers in the middle, which happens when we have an even number of values, we simply find the average of them. Okay, so if I translate that down, that's here with 13 and 15. So 13 plus 15 over 2 gives us the median value of 14. And finally, if we have a look at our data set in red, we can see that all values only appear once. So there is no mode. It's important here that you don't write 0 because 0 is in fact a value. Moving to our final question now, we just have an example from the textbook where we actually will calculate the mean and then use that mean to find a new value with some algebra. So let's have a look. The money of a teenager, the amount of money a teenager earned in the last 6 babysitting appointments is here. So there are 6 different values here. Calculate the mean for this set of data. We can get stuck straight into that. Because we're not finding the median or the mode, we don't need to order our data if we're happy working with those 6 values. So again, I'm just writing out the values here, guys. You are welcome to skip straight to the next step if you are comfortable to do so. And we have 6 values here, which gives us 138 on 6, or a mean value of $23. Now, and I'm going to switch pen colours so we don't get confused and go down here. Part B says, how much would the teenager need to earn in the next babysitting appointment for the mean to equal $25? Well, what that means is that all of this on top plus an unknown value over 7, because that would mean 7 babysitting appointments, is going to equal 25. So in other words, we expect 138, which is what all of these red values add to, 138 plus X, an unknown value, an unknown 7th value on 7 gives us the mean 25. So it's now our job to rearrange for X. So we're going to start by multiplying both sides by 7 times 7 times 7, which means that we have 138 plus X is equal to 175. minus 138 from each side. So X is equal to $37. Now, ideally, I've run out of space here. We're going to write a sentence answer for this because it is a sentence question. So I'm just going to write it up here beside the question. The teenager would need to earn $37. And what you might notice about that $37, guys, is that is much more than he's earned in any of these previous ones. He has earned $35, or she has just earned these $35 in one of her sessions. So if we wanted to make it a little bit more complex, we could ask you to discuss whether this was a reasonable expectation for the teenager to earn in their next babysitting appointment. But for now, we're just going to move on to some consolidation of mean, median, and mode, exercise 9G, question 2, 3, 4, and 6 to 8, and question 14 for a challenge. If you have any questions, make sure you email me. Thanks, guys.